Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Adventures in Truth livecast. My name is Jim Case. I am your host. Thrilled to be here today. Excited to have you here with us today. This is going to be a great show. Before we get started, I want to ask that wherever you are, if you're watching us on E360 TV, thank you so much. Glad to have you here. Hope you enjoy all of the shows that are on E360, including this show. If you happen to be on Facebook Live or YouTube Live, welcome. I ask that you please like and subscribe. Let people know we're here. Share the live window on Facebook if you can. And you can also watch on Adventures in Truth Facebook page, Adventures in Truth Facebook page, but also Adventures in Truth website, www.adventuresintruth.com. So check it out. Excited again to be here. Glad that you're here. Today we're going to have a terrific show. We have Jewels and Jennifer back in our third in this series of Awakening, getting prepared for live retreat coming up here next week. 11/11 Activate Your Evolution virtual retreat. This is free from the 11th to the 14th. Head over to activateevolution.com to sign up. We'd love to see you there. I'll be presenting. I will be presenting a segment on shifting state. My brain just disappeared for a second on how to change your energy through shifting state. So it's going to be a very cool retreat. Lots of wonderful presenters, and Jen and Jules will be talking about that a little later in the show. So as we dive in, we're going to have a great show. They'll be out in just a minute, and we will be right back right after this. All right, guys, www.fearisachoicebook.com. I encourage you, please go to the website, check it out. All the order links are there, Barnes & Noble, IndieBound, Amazon. Book is doing well, and I so appreciate all of you out there that have ordered the book, who have experienced the book. I'm very excited about it and continue to be. We just celebrated a year of the book being published, and it continues to grow, and the readership continues to grow. Powerful stuff. Check out the website. I'll keep it short today, but check out the website. Check out the reviews. A lot of good stuff, but this book will change your life because it will change your relationship with fear. And I think that that's a powerful, powerful thing that helps us to transform, especially in this time of awakening, as we deal with all of these, all the influences that are going on, and we learn more about ourselves and how we awaken into this life and into this world. So check it out. Fear is a Choice, Unraveling the Illusion of Our Separation from Love. And we will be right back. All right, we got the year of conscious creation going on here, and we're already this is the 11th month of the year already. We're continuing to go through this amazing movement. I can't tell you how excited I am that this continues to grow and continues to expand. Here's the basic concept. We want to bring more goodness onto the planet, so let's focus in it. Let's put our attention there. Let's put our intention there. My world is good. My world is good. My world is good. 10 times in the morning when you wake up, 10 times at the end of your day, and then use it throughout the day when you're finding your alignment getting a little wonky. Just focus into that appreciation. Find something in your environment that you can appreciate, and then just feel into it. My world is good. And watch how quickly your energy will spin up, and watch how quickly your energy will change. And then even more importantly is that as you carry that, and as I carry that, and as each of us carries that focus of intention, as we come together, we create a powerful tipping point in the consciousness of humanity. In that mass consciousness, we begin to add a new flow of intensity about goodness and being able to infuse that mass consciousness with that powerful flow. So join us in this movement. My world is good. Powerful stuff. Thank you for being part of it. And we are moving on. Big show today. We're going to pick up Jules and Jennifer on the other side of the break, and we will be right back. All right, we are back, and we have a great conversation today. I'm going to bring in Jules and Jennifer. How do I embrace my awakening? I am excited to have this third conversation. Excuse me. We've had a couple of really powerful conversations about the idea of awakening and different things to focus in. And I thought, what a great way, as we get prepared for this virtual retreat, to kind of talk about how am I going to embrace this. And we kind of looked at some key areas where we all have some suggestions and ideas. And hi, nice to see you, ladies. I don't know, lately, especially the last week or so, my brain just it has been, I don't even know how to describe it. I'll be completely present in this moment and then just not there for a second and go, well, what just happened? Where did I go? Where did it happen? How are you guys? What's happening? Good to see you.
Amazing. It's funny that you say that because I feel has so much to do with what we're talking about is as we move into these higher frequencies that there's going to be moments where our consciousness is going to shift into those different places where we come back and we're like, wow, I actually went somewhere.
And you go, And it never feels like it's a little disconcerting because because I'm still here. I can still experience what's happening here, but there's a little, it's pretty remarkable. Finding this time to be remarkable and continues to be are you guys experiencing, I'm finding the levels of intensity of late a lot sometimes. It's the best way I want to say. It just feels like a lot. Like that we really, really, really need to find, each of us individually, finding a center, finding a grounding point to understand, one, what's happening in our energy, but to also continue to allow it. Because for me personally, it isn't necessarily hard, but it definitely feels uncomfortable at times. Is that a good word?
One of my favorite things to do, Jim, is when I have those weird, uncomfortable things, because I think we feel it in the body. We obviously have it consciously, is instead of going in and trying to identify it with my mind, I celebrate it and I'm like, bring in more, because I know that this is part of me moving into higher states of consciousness, higher vibrational patterns. And I celebrate those parts almost like, what would I compare it to? Especially when your body starts to do some funky things, like if you feel sick or you have those aches and pains, and we want to go in and analyze it like, oh, I'm going to be sick. Instead of going there, I'll go to, oh, keep bringing it in, because I can tell that it's shifting and changing my body, and I get more excited about it. And whether or not that's true or not, I'm actually creating that reality as truth. And my body brings it in and shifts through it so much quicker than if I were to go into resistance.
Love that. I love that, because that's my version of that is surrender. That you just feel that pressure, you feel that intensity, and I go, my game is not resistance anymore. I've chosen to just let this be. I'm surrendering to this. And then if it still feels mucky, then I'm like, okay, I'm surrendering. And then I'm also just bringing love to this. I'm just going to infuse the space with love and let that unfold this for me. And I got to say, for the listeners out there, this is important to me because I have what I'm about to say, because I have always kind of had a thing about what I would call woo-woo, where things are a little so far out that you're kind of like, okay, why don't you come back to reality a little bit, because you still got to live on the planet. You still got to be a human being living on the planet. That's why we're here. And to be living at this time and to be living through these experiences, know that everybody, at least the people that I interact with and the people that I bring onto this show, for me, have to have a certain level of practicality about what they're doing, because I'm not looking for airy-fairy things to play with out there. I'm looking for how are we going to help each other walk through this as best as we can, as clearly as we can, and knowing that we're doing that because we're on this planet together. And while we may not be able to make each other do things in that sense, we are here to support and uplift. And I want it to be as practical as possible because we still have to deal with all the stuff that's going on in the world and at the same time allow this expansion and growth. And it's a weird juxtaposition because the more you allow that awakening to unfold, the more kind of wow it gets. you know, but and that's awesome, but not to allow that to dilute or to pull me away from, I guess, I guess what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense?
It does. And I will say, I have experienced where you are, but for me personally, I've kind of moved into that more expanded place that you're speaking of. And it's actually become normal for me. And in that, my reality has shifted around it and supported that. And so it doesn't feel woo woo or weird and all of those things. And I think that that is part of the ascension process or the awakening process, is that we continue to awaken to realities that maybe do seem really far-fetched or woo-woo at one state of consciousness, but when we move into these higher state of consciousness, they feel more real than what you're calling the real world. And that is like how we ascend through this. What do you think, Jennifer?
Well, I think for myself, how I've been processing all of this is it's the choice. So when I start feeling resistance within myself and noticing what my current reality is, what is my choice within that? And so when I feel that resistance in myself and feel into it and know that there's a frequency beyond that, that I have a choice to lean into and express through that frequency, then it shifts my reality. And so that just becomes my practice. And some days I'm oblivious to it. You know, I feel myself sort of in the same rut, and all of a sudden it's an aha, like, oh, there's that frequency behind that stickiness that I'm feeling that I have a choice to lean into. And then it almost feels like magic, the way it shifts. But I think that the more, as collectively, as we start doing this and having that awareness of our choice in those moments, the more everyone will start doing that.
Yeah, I agree. I love what you said, Jules, because I think it speaks to what I was attempting to speak to are people that are watching or listening that are seeking to understand or seeking to find their doorway. And everybody has a different threshold. Everyone has a different place that they're looking from. And I agree with you that there is a place at each level, or whatever you call a level, at each point of expansion, there is this there's this kind of feeling of no going back, meaning you're in this new space and it's kind of hard to relate to some of the other spaces because, but the difference is that you can see why. You can see either the fear or the limitation or the resistance that's living in that space that is the reason it's no longer a place you want to put your energy in that, you know, if that makes sense, that it isn't it's still practical, but it continues to expand in ways that are just breathtaking and amazing.
I love that. And when it all comes down to it, it is just what I love about, is, am I in fear or am I in love, or am I in the ego, or am I in kind of bringing in that heart space, the divine frequency? And so much of what Jennifer was talking about is that place of really, if we look at everything that's happening in the world, no matter what level of consciousness we're looking at it from, there's still a level that it's all an illusion. And I think that that's what makes it really fun as we begin to awaken to these higher states, like whether we're just starting out or whether we're way up here and we keep awakening to possibilities, is that possibility of what we have the ability to become never ends. And that's when it gets magical and fun.
Yeah, I agree. I was just having a conversation this morning with my husband because we were going through a lot of stuff yesterday. And as I was walking and meditating this morning, I realized that part of it was something was happening that he was collecting a lot of what I call spin cycles. You know, that he was looking at different things and spinning, and they were collecting in his energy. So he's like each we're going along and more of these clusters of spin cycle were going on, and it was really weighing on him. And so we ended up spending a lot of time yesterday kind of chiseling some of that stuff out of his energy because it just got so locked in there. And this morning, seeing it so clearly, this powerful, like our conversation was, hey, this is what I saw. And I'm thinking that it's time for us and for you to focus a little differently in what you're paying attention to, because what you're paying attention to is causing this stuff to lock up in your energy, and that's causing dissonance between us. And we are not each other's enemies. We are not each other's problem. So let's break that down so that you can feel more free in your space, and that our energetic space together is cleaner and more free, so that we can continue to create and grow together. Because it's also, it's one of those things where you can also see how with these changing energies, it's so important to be conscious with each other about what's going on without defensiveness and without fighting, but to say, hey, I'm bringing some energy that's not serving us. I'm going to work on that. Let's do this together as best we can. You don't have to be where I am. You don't have to think like I think. You don't have to act like I act. You don't have to do all that. But energetically, we got to stay in the same ballpark. Energetically, we have to stay in the same arena if we want to continue to share and grow together in this awakening process. So it's profound, it's powerful, and it just continues to grow. So I'm excited to have this conversation. We're going to dive into on the other side of the break. We're going to get into some specific areas of how to embrace awakening and talk about how we do that individually, and have some suggestions about how you might utilize it. So by the end of the show, my hope is that you have some thoughts and some ideas and tools that you can walk away from here with to help you in your own process. So I'm excited to do that. I'm excited that you're here, ladies. We'll be right back. We're going to take a quick moment of focus, and then we will be back. See you on the other side of the break. All right, you all. Here we go. We're going to do a short breathing process today because we have a lot to cover. So we're going to dive right into the breath process today. We're going to be breathing into a count of 4. We're going to be holding that breath for a moment, relishing and being in that moment of fullness. And then we're going to choose to release that breath, and we're going to release to a count of 6. And we're releasing to a count of 6 so that we're purging all of that old energy and air out of the deepest parts of the lungs. And as you purge all of that old energy and air, coming to a space of emptiness, a space of nothingness, a space of allowing, a space of anticipation where there is just nothing, and being comfortable in that space for the moment, because that is a moment of creation. And then re-engaging the lungs as you pull in that life force and that chi and that prana, bringing all that energy in to revitalize in a new moment of creation. For me, breath is every moment a new moment of creation. And every moment of creation that we can be conscious of brings us more closely aligned to our awakening and continues to expand our awakening. So wherever you are, just take a big deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth, and just let yourself settle into this space in this moment and to my voice. Take another deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth, and just let that breath settle you into this moment. And now focusing your awareness into the center of your chest. If you want, take your middle fingers and just touch into your breastbone. Just find that spot. There's a little soft spot, a little divot in the middle of your chest that is the point of your heart. And just touching that. You don't have to mash it. Just gently touch it. The skin and the collagen in the skin is piezoelectric. It's got a charge. So when you charge that, when you merge into that space gently, you create a little electrical spark that sends this ripple through your energy system. Let that ripple open up your heart as you begin to breathe with me. We're going to breathe now on inhale to a count of 4. Inhaling. 2, 3, 4. Feel full. Feel rich. Feel relaxed in this space of fullness. And then choose to release it now. Exhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let all that go. Let it go. Be in this space of nothingness for just a moment, in the void. Be comfortable, be relaxed, and now engage the lungs and inhale. 2, 3, 4. Good. Feel the fullness, feel that power, feel all of that energy coursing through you, that life force. And now surrender it all in this moment. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Beautiful. Now sit in that empty space, sit in that void. Be comfortable, relax. Feel your entire being relaxed into that void space for just this moment. And then consciously choosing to engage the next moment as you breathe and inhale. 2, 3, 4. Feel the power of that breath coursing through every cell of your body. Feel the joy that it brings, and then surrender it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Beautiful. Rest now in that void space, preparing in anticipation, just being in that moment. And continue the process on your own as we continue to breathe, inhaling, taking in all that amazing air, all that amazing energy. Every breath, a new moment of creation. Every breath brings new life force to this body. And feel that as you feel the fullness and richness, and you feel it through your entire being. And then knowing that you are surrendering it in this moment and letting it go, because the next moment you will create anew. And you let that energy go, and you take it out from the deepest parts of the lungs and let that energy release as you sit in the void in anticipation of the next moment of creation, as you inhale, continuing to breathe through this process. And as you do, let these words wash over you. Let this energy wash over you. Take it if it works for you. Let it go if it doesn't. I surrender to my love. I surrender to my potential. I surrender to my love. I surrender to my abundance. I surrender to my love. And breathe that in deeply and powerfully. Continuing that breath process, feeling it expanding you, feeling the power of you. And as you complete this next breath cycle, bring yourself back to this space. As we come back into the conversation, how do I embrace my awakening? I'm going to bring Jennifer and Jewels back into the picture here, and we will carry on our conversation. And just let that energy continue to expand, and just be aware as you release your breath. Be aware of the field of who you are that expands out beyond your ability to see, but notice the magnificence and extraordinary energy of you. All right, as we come back in to embrace our awakening, there's Jennifer and there's Jewels. Hello, ladies. Okay, so we talked about this, and I think, Jennifer, you are the one who brought this into the fold here. So the first area that I want to kind of dive into is this idea of losing resistance. That as a tool, how do I embrace my awakening? Is finding ways to lose resistance. And to me, that is, there's so many places where we're so used to behaviors that we don't realize bring resistance to our world. And so becoming more conscious of that feeling, that rub, becomes really important to me, because you don't realize where you get in your own way sometimes. And so as you're meditating, as you're doing life, as you're walking through life, as you get more attuned to your energy, which is what all awakening is about, you become more aware of where those rubs show up and if they're useful or not. You know, you want to talk about that, Jen?
Yeah, I've been really aware lately. Of course, of the resistance areas, but I've had a big awareness of when I'm in the flow of creation. And for me, it's been when I step into the kitchen to cook.
Yeah.
As soon as I step into the kitchen to cook, my heart just opens up, and I can feel that I am connection with the divine, like I am the divine, and I feel that flow, that energy of creation. Mm-hmm. And even talking about it right now, I can feel it like coming into my body. All my cells are lighting up. And what I think is so wonderful and magical about that is that I know that feeling. Mm-hmm. And I'm being shown that feeling, and I'm becoming aware of that feeling through that process of cooking. It's just really cellular memory now. Mm-hmm. And so as I'm making other decisions, if that feeling isn't present and I can feel the resistance, I know the difference. it's a yes or no.
Yeah.
And so then working through the process of how I shift something into a divine yes, that feeling of creation, that knowing of creation. And there's some things that you don't, for me, that I don't shift into creation. It's just a no.
Yes.
But there's some things that can be neutralized. There's sticky energy resistance. It's like when I look at it and pay attention to it, it will shift. And then that creation feeling, that divine yes, I have an awareness of that in myself, and then I can move forward. So that's where I've been recently.
Love that. I love the practicality of it because, I, like you, love to cook. I guess, I don't know why, but over the course of time, very much like you, it's very Zen for me. Cooking is very Zen for me. Cleaning is very Zen for me. So if I'm in it, I can simply shift to, oh, I can clean the stove because I can focus myself there and I can let the energy go and I can dial into something else, or I can cook a big pot of stew because cutting all those vegetables and getting into all that freshness, and I love that. How about you, Jules? What's your thoughts on that? Anything?
I'd like you to come over and cook for me.
There is actually a big pot of veggie stew in my refrigerator right now. I make one about once a week because I found that with everything else, as long as I have that, I have a go-to of something I know is good and healthy and wonderful and warming and nurturing, and I eat at least a bowl a day. But it really makes a big difference for me.
I love that. And that's, those healthy choices are just like what Jennifer was saying, allows us to more easily kind of connect to that higher vibrational way of living. And for me, I don't think about it as much because those subtle energies are so strong. I say that I either feel this or this. It's almost like there's only two energies that I feel anymore. And that's that place of the divine creation, or what you would call fear. And in that moment, if I feel myself moving into that other vibration, I just stop and I realize that I just moved into what I call the third level of consciousness, to where I'm either trying to manipulate in order to feel safe, or change the energy pattern so it feels quote unquote more comfortable. But then once I can see that and step back from it and choose to move back into that place of just the heart space, you could say, then what I find is it's automatically neutralized, because if I'm not in the ego, it can't be anything else.
Yeah.
And it is that easy.
Love that. Love that. My basic program, I think you and I've talked about before too, is energy up, energy down. I've kind of simplified it in my world because when I got to the point where I was leaning into it all the time, I was like, okay, I'm just looking for energy up, energy down, which for me means if it spins my energy up, whatever it is I'm getting ready to go into, I dive in wholeheartedly, both feet I'm in. But if there is any sense of energy down, then I step back because I feel like I may not know enough. I may not be in the right area. I may not be in the right energy. I don't know. But whatever it is, I step back from. And then and in doing so, my energy starts to spin up again. And then whatever is the resistance that's there, I don't have to battle it. I simply acknowledge that me and it are not in it right now. So I'm going to take a step back until I either learn more, I find out more about what I need to know, or I go a different directions because that perspective is not the place I need to put myself. So that's kind of how I see the losing resistance, because you feel it and then you say, okay, am I attending to this or am I attending to something else? And in most cases, it's not worth putting the energy into the resistance because now you're focused into the thing that you want to change, right? You're focused on resistance, not on change, or not on something other than resistance. So I love all those perspectives. All of these perspectives are amazing because it's obvious that as we talk about them, it is who we are. It is who we as individuals have come to find ourselves in our own process of awakening. And isn't it amazing that the three of us can have three seemingly distinctively different approaches, but still arrive at a very similar place, which is that space of what you guys were calling the God space, or whatever that is that you find is your alignment. So I really dig that. So that's awesome. Let's move on to the next one because I think that went well. So the next one we just did, I probably should have put that one first since we came out of meditation, but breath. I can't say enough about breath. I could talk about how important breath is probably all day long for me, in my experience, and what it changes in the space it creates and the shifts that it helps to accomplish. I use breath all day. I mean, use breath. When I say I use breath, I do conscious breath process as much of my day as I can. That doesn't mean I spend my day, looking at the computer going, okay, now breathe in and breathe out. I, but I do find myself at points throughout the day where I may notice that I'm not focused in my breath, and I go, why aren't you breathing? Oh, okay. Let me take a second to stop and I'll breathe for a minute and just create space wherever I am, because for whatever reason, I was in that moment. That moment, I was feeling closed down a little bit. It may have been a thought, may have been an emotion, could have been anything, but I just became aware of it. So I'm going to use breath to expand my space again and see where that takes me. But breath to me is the foundational experience. When you learn breath, you learn your energy. You begin to learn what your core vibration is. You begin to learn who this is in the context of physical and spiritual and all that kind of good stuff. So that's kind of where I go with breath. How about y'all? Who's next? Jen, do you want to go, Jennifer?
When I was first really becoming aware of my spiritual practice, breath was a really big thing for me. It was, like if I was trying to stop an emotion or something, I would notice how much I was holding my breath. If I was trying to bring in information or bring in a frequency or energy, I would guide it through breath. Mm-hmm. I notice now, though, I feel pretty solid in just my normal breathing pattern. I do feel like my breath is more regulated, like, how do I say it? Just a more steady pattern of in and out. And I don't feel like I have those moments of holding my breath like I used to. I don't fall into a practice of using breath like I used to, but boy, it was a big thing for me when I first started. Mm-hmm. It was a very big part of how I became consciously aware of the energy in my body.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Love that. How about you, Jules?
Yeah, it's funny that I've never really used breath, but I can connect to what both of you are saying, and that I do start almost all of my attunements and my meditations with a breath connected to light. But I don't ever use it unless I'm going into an attunement, and I never have. But what I love about it is especially what Jennifer was saying, is that she doesn't really use it anymore because her body already knows how to do it. And that's a cellular memory of like, ooh, I'm getting stressed. And it's like almost like it kicks right into gear and brings her right back into that place of relaxation. But what I find super interesting is when I go to very, very high states of frequency, and I'm consciously aware of where I am in that frequency, I can go for very long periods of time without breathing. And it's a kind of a weird thing because I don't need to breathe there. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's even worth having a discussion about, but I do feel like there's something there that would be fun to look at some point in the future, is that breath too will change as we kind of advance as a human race.
Yeah, I agree. I have found with the stuff that I do in my own personal practice has been driven via the breath, but the breath that is born of activating the energy system of the body, and that breath for me is it's not necessarily a process of working with the breath. It's utilizing the breath to help stimulate change in the energy, in my energy or in my field. I love that, again, this amazing dynamic of how that breath process, or how it has or has not impacted each of us individually, or how we utilize it. And yet we can still all come to a very similar place, that we can all share experiences in consciousness, or have experiences in consciousness that are profound and powerful from completely different perspectives. So as you all out there are listening to these, and listening to us talk about our experiences, the whole point of this is that recognizing that even amongst the three of us, we have varying viewpoints and experiences with each of these things. None of them are better or worse. They're all just experiences. So you get to have your experience, however that experience unfolds for you, and how you step into it, because you are a unique spark of the divine that's here with a unique energy that's here to create something powerful and wonderful because you're here. It's just, you're here. You wouldn't be here otherwise. And I don't mean, here is here, the planet, this time frame, so, all right, go
I
ahead.
love how you're saying that. I just want to, if I can piggyback on that.
Absolutely.
As people experience different processes, it's not as if something is right or wrong. It's information about what works for them and helps them express who they are and their connection with the divine. And what's working for you right now might change as you expand and grow.
I will say will. I would change that to will.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, only because you do what you can from where you are with what you have. And as that expands, then it changes. That's where I was kind of going with it. For me, the breath process for me has evolved in unbelievable ways for me over the last decade. Where it started when I began, and how it is a, I don't know what the right word is. It's my center, as it were. That's my Buddha seat, or whatever you want to call it. It's the place I come back to center, and so that's how and that's how interesting. And listening to Jewels, who doesn't have that connection to breath in the same way, or that, and can still achieve incredible things. It has nothing to do with that process is the only one. It is a of many. And how do you step into and evolve in your own process, which, interestingly, activating your evolution kind of talks about that, huh? So we are going to take a quick break on that beautiful segue that just happened out of nowhere to let you guys talk about what's coming up next week. Are you both going to be talking, or who shall I turn this over to?
Jennifer, do you want to take over that?
I can talk, yes.
All right. Bring it up. Here we go. We'll be back with you in a sec, Jen. You're on live. It's all you. Whoops, took Jennifer out. Let's do that.
So coming up November 11th through the 14th, we're having the Activate Your Evolution Retreat. We're going to have a group of change makers that will be presenting their gifts and talents, supporting all of us in activating our evolution. And this is really about how to step into raising our frequency and our vibration and our ascension process. There'll be all kinds of tools and free gifts for everybody. And it's a really heartfelt event that has been created by Jewels and the team through Activate Your Evolution. So it starts Thursday evening on the 11th, and there'll be 3 speakers each day for through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And there'll be a little bit of a question and answer with each person, and they will offer some type of an activation or showing, their best gift that they have, either be it astrology or nutrition, or I'm going to be presenting with DECU, Dermal Expression Cellular Upgrade, and Jim will be presenting with his fear, overcoming fear. And so, yeah, it's just going to be a real wonderful, heartfelt, expansive weekend, and you can treat it like a retreat. It's going to be virtual, but you can set this up so you can have moments of caretaking for yourself, like, warm baths or relaxing and candles, whatever it is that you need to do to take care of yourself over this weekend. So we would love to have you there.
Love it. And this is a free retreat, correct?
It is absolutely free. That's right.
Yes, absolutely free. So www.activateevolution.com is where you register. So please check it out. We'd love to have you there. It's going to be an amazing event. Bringing Jules back in. Hi again. Jules, anything you want to say about it on wrapping that piece up?
Oh, I think she did such a beautiful thing. And it is, the intention behind it is to bring communities together and create that place of unity through ascension. And it will be something that we'll continue to do every 3 months. So this is the first. So we invite you to become part of this really fun event for the first time.
Yeah.
Great job, ladies. Thank you very much. Again, www.activateevolution.com next week, next the 11th of November. So sign up, lots of spaces, and we're looking forward to seeing you all there. All right, let's carry on. Next on the list was building a daily practice. This for me is kind of a cornerstone because daily practice is something to me that is similar to what we were talking about before, that processes change over the course of weeks and months as you do them. And that to me, building a practice is about where am I now and what do I want to accomplish in my energy? What do I want to understand about myself and my world? How do I want to ground myself? How do I want to connect in a way that helps me every day in my life to continue to expand and grow? And so the daily practice is not, it can be meditation, it can be yoga, it can be pretty much anything that stimulates that spin of energy for you. Some people get it hiking, some people get it running, some people get it biking, some people get it sitting under a tree, some get it sitting on a rock, some love to go into dark holes and just be with themselves. There is no right or wrong daily practice, but it is that you have that, to me, you have that period in your day that you specifically focus into your awakening, into your energy, into your growth in a very conscious way. And that's why I use breath, because it helps me to be conscious and present in the moment. So to me, the daily practice is what you build, and that practice will change as you grow, because the tools that you start with will help to expand your field and raise your vibration. And then you're on to a new level. You're into a new space. So you have to then incorporate things that help stimulate that level experience. And that becomes a joyous process because it just continues to unfold for you as you do it. But what I find is that it helps to anchor me every single day into who I am and what I'm doing here, and not to get mired in lots of noise and getting my space quiet. So that's kind of how I use daily practice. What are your thoughts all on daily practice?
I say life is my practice, and it's that space, kind of like we were talking about before, is, where am I creating from? Am I creating from the ego, or am I creating from love? And that space of just consistently tapping in and being aware of the subtle difference of those energies until they aren't so subtle anymore is a practice. So of course I have different tools that I'll use within that practice, but one of my favorite ones is identifying what level of consciousness I'm in when I'm in creation of just my daily life. And in that, I can really hone in on those subtle energies. But I would say that my day, like life is my daily practice. I don't meditate anymore. I don't do it because I can get into that kind of space just through my daily life by asking to. Like I know, and I think it's Buddhism, it's mindfulness. It's, okay, where am I creating? Like, how am I doing the dishes? How am I cooking? How am I folding the laundry? How am I driving? And just consistently tapping in is an awesome way to practice.
Yeah. I love the simplicity of it. I love, as you're talking, I'm reflecting in my own experience. And I'm like, God, that's great. I love the simplicity where you're just, again, feeling into the moment and feeling into where am I this moment, and being with that experience, and then choosing to shift your perspective wherever you are. That's breathtaking. Love it. How about you, Jennifer?
When I first really started building a spiritual practice for myself, it was it was new, and it wasn't part of my awareness and how I functioned on a regular basis. But one of my teachers gave me a great question when I would be sitting down for my practice, and it was, when I was connecting to the divine within, it was, what is my truth in this moment? And it really helped me go within and be aware of myself. And so that was really how it started for me. And I would get up every morning and spend some quiet time with myself, reflecting and doing some work on myself. And that's how it's really started. And now, as my life is my spiritual practice, I still use that question sometimes, what is my truth in this moment?
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm making decision, feeling into stuff. And it's usually connecting to the, I shouldn't say usually, it is connecting to the divine within. Is it a divine yes or divine no?
Mm-hmm.
But, what is my truth?
Love that. So the focus of a daily practice maybe is that idea. What is my divine truth? Where is my alignment? What am I aligned to? And again, guys, I continue to be blown away in the diversity in recognizing that feel your way into your experience. Feel your way into what is where you are, right? Depending on where you're starting in the process, depending on how long you're in the process, you can adopt and adapt anything you want into your experience. Just be conscious of what that is. And if it's like Jewels, where you can be in a space where you can be in love or not, or be in something else, or be in fear, and you can shift that, that's amazing. And that's wonderful. And that's the way you get to do it. And maybe there's another way, or maybe there's a combination of ways. Let yourself unfold. It's part of the joy and the beauty of the process of learning this whole thing called me, this energy that is much greater than this physical body that I experience. So feel into that, lean into that where does it work for you? Some prefer more structure, some prefer less structure. There is no right or wrong. It's simply what serves your field and brings you to the greatest upliftment and the greatest alignment to whatever you call universe, God, all of it, all that is, the God within, all of it. Let yourself have how that unfolds for you. And if you find the way that you connect, that's your gateway. Start there and then let it evolve for you, and stay open, as we talked about earlier. Stay out of the resistance if you can, because it will evolve and you will evolve with it. Stay connected to it so that you can see how it's evolving and the steps that you can take to continue that unfoldment. That's where I think the beauty of having it and then seeing where it takes you is. That's from my perspective.
I want to say too, like when you're getting
Please.
started and you find things like the Activate Your Evolution 11/11 retreat that we're doing, that's a great place to feel into different spaces, what different people are offering. So you sort of get a glimmer of what's out there and what might work for you. And I just know for myself, taking different retreats through the years was how I felt, or different classes is how I fell into my daily practice that I'm in now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great, beautiful, and well said. Well said. All right, we're going to what do we have? We're still doing all right. So we're going to move on to the next one. This one's a big one to me. This is the most challenging for most of us, I think. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but while on paper it sounds good, be gentle with yourself. And you say, well, what does that mean? I'm going to pat myself on my head. And I'm like, well, maybe if you need to, but being gentle with yourself is realizing that you don't know what you don't know. And we don't know a lot. We don't know a lot about this whole experience. We have ideas, we have, and as you go through awakening, you get even clearer and more better understanding. And there's still so much that we don't know and are learning about in the process. So being gentle with myself is recognizing that, for me, I've been on the planet 57 years. I built some habits over that time. And those habits take time sometimes, or awareness to break down or to change or to alter. And because part of it is becoming conscious of those things, right? That's what awakening is about. I'm becoming conscious of what I'm unconscious of. So as I become more conscious, I can address those things, but I'm not perfect and I do make mistakes. And sometimes my humanness gets the better of me. And be gentle with yourself, because without the love of self, you're not going anywhere. Without the love generating through you, in you, and out of you, you're going to you're going in a spin. You're going in a spin cycle. So being gentle is about recognizing that you don't know what you don't know, and being open to that without resistance, and recognizing that sometimes stuff gets in the way, and if you make a mistake, you smile, you love yourself, you move on, you make amends, whatever you do, but you be gentle with you, because that way you'll be gentle with others as you begin, because sometimes through the awakening process, that's challenging. Those relationships with others can be challenging, and if you're not being gentle with yourself, you can tend to get judgmental, or you tend to get logged into harder, denser energies. Be gentle with yourself as much as you possibly can. That's my thoughts on being gentle. How about you guys?
So cute, Jim. As you were talking, I could just see, and I do this with myself sometimes when I make silly mistakes. The first, like one of my favorite phrases is "whoopsie," and I see just like this little kid that falls down when they're trying to do something for the first time, and you don't go over and yell at them and say, "Oh my gosh, you did this wrong." You just pick them up and you hug them, and let's try again. And that's such a beautiful energy that we can bring into our own mistakes, is because that part of us is doing it for the first time, and until we're actually aware that maybe it's not in a vibration that we would choose, we're still that little kid that's just doing it like for the first time. And then once we have the choice, just like you said, we have the opportunity to say, wow, I didn't do that right. And I want you to know that I see that, and that I apologize that I came from that space. And then all of a sudden everything is neutralized, and you get to start over and be that little kid again, because we want to stay in a place where we're exploring life in a new way, because that means that we're living outside of the programming of our mind, and we're exploring different places. And we have to be okay with making mistakes in those places, or we probably aren't going to go as fast as we could if we're just consistently looking kind of in that intellectual way of approaching life, and because there's such a big opportunity to explore life outside the intellect. And what I mean by that is kind of putting it into a category in the ego, and to be able to really move into that space of what I call abstract, we have to be willing to make mistakes. And I've actually, in those mistakes, it's like learning to make a decision as well, is in that place of the yes or no, because when we say yes in that divine frequency, there are no mistakes.
Right.
And then we get to just love ourselves in the ego, maybe trying to judge what's happening. But the mistake is part of the design. And that's where I feel like when we can really hone in to the frequency of where we're creating choices from, the way we see mistakes completely shifts.
Yes to that. How about you, Miss Jennifer? Are you gentle with yourself, Jennifer?
Some days are better than others. I have one of the things I have an awareness for myself about is when I feel frustrated about something, I'm about to go through a big shift. And I used to not be so gentle with myself about that place. It's like, why can't I just be like less frustrated?
Yeah.
Like when I feel frustrated, like, right, it would just like, I'll start doing that. But like when somebody falls down and they jump up, like, I'm good. Right. Yeah. They don't want to, acknowledge that something is hurt. And, I think that place right there is the place to really be gentle with ourselves. Is if we do have an oops or an accident or a place that we get tripped up, that we can take a moment for ourselves and not get more tripped up and like trying to pretend like we're all okay and good. And if we need to reimagine all of it that went down, in our own mind, in a quiet place, then the next time we're in a similar situation, it'll be softer.
Yeah.
And especially in relationships and conversations, because sometimes something will come up for us, like somebody says something to us and we don't know what to say, or react in a way that wasn't how we wanted to shine, let's say. But when we think about it later, we can come up with vocabulary that we know is heartfelt and divine. And then we just feel more empowered. So I think that's a way to be gentle with ourselves.
Beautiful.
That we don't always have it all figured out the first time.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Amen. Yeah. Hear that.
Yeah.
All right. And I couldn't go through this episode without talking about changing our relationship with fear. It is, to me, foundational. We are entrained to fear from inception. We that goes through that process of being in the mother's womb, and the interaction of the energy between the mother and the potential and the father, and the life that the mother is living. And then we come into the planet and we're entrained into a different level of fear. So as we become aware and conscious, I think changing that relationship is everything. Because fear to me does nothing but dumb down our experience. It limits our perception, it limits our potential, it limits our ability to see. And so changing it, and that's what all of this is about, all of awakening is about, is in a large way is to alter that relationship, as Jewels talked about. Are you looking through love, or are you looking through fear? Where are you? Those are the choices. And it seems like it should be way more than that, but it's not. It's that basic and that simple. Where are you attending to your life from? So changing that relationship is tantamount to helping open up the potentiality of your own life and opening up the potential of who you are to yourself, not just for how you go into the world, but to yourself. Because remember, this energy is what's generating and creating your world. This energy is what's generating and creating your perceptions. So changing the relationship with fear and not having that filter, wow, the enormous amount of potential that's available from that is extraordinary to me. And guys, I apologize. We're coming down to a few minutes, so I'll ask you to keep these one a little shorter. But please share your relationship.
I'll let Jennifer answer, and then that way we'll just keep it.
This is kind of going back to the breath, but like that was one of my first awarenesses when I was learning to overcome fears, that I would hold my breath when I was afraid. And so breathing would allow the emotion to go through, and then I could really look at what was behind it and step into a new choice.
Beautiful. I'm going to let you have the last word, Jewels.
Oh my
Bring
goodness.
us home.
Right. Well, just kind of going, the initial thing that I thought of around fear is that ability as a human that we have consciousness. And so much of fear is that primal instinct. And every time that we choose to override that and move into consciousness and choose love, we're literally evolving what it is to be human. And that's what we're here to be. So but it's that easy. Am I choosing love, or am I choosing fear?
And I can't think of a more perfect way to end this episode. Are you choosing love, or are you choosing fear? That takes us full circle moment for me, full circle moment back to this entire topic, which, am I right? How do I embrace my awakening? Am I tuned into love, or am I tuned into fear? Start there. Start there. Ladies, I am so excited about this retreat. I'm excited, and I'm so grateful to you both for these great shows that we've got to put together. We got to do together. Here we go. I'm loving this, and I hope in the future we'll get to do more of it. Have an amazing day, everybody. Thank you guys so much for being here, and we will see you hopefully on the 11th. Don't forget to go to www.activateyourevolution.com. Let me put that up one more time before we go. And come check us out. Sign up. Free retreat. We'll love to see you. Y'all have an amazing day. We'll see you on the other side.
Thank you.
And I got to find my button. Thanks, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Adventures in Truth Livecast. Please like, subscribe, and share. If you'd like to learn more about Jim's book, Fear is a Choice, Unraveling the Illusion of Our Separation from Love, check it out at www.fearisachoicebook.com. Also check out Moments of Truth, a new offering from Adventures in Truth. If you'd like to work with Jim, check out www.thesciencetransformation.com to book a session. Tune in live every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time and every Friday, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Or look for our new releases and podcasts every Monday. Until next time, be well, and we'll see you again on Adventures in Truth Livecast.